So you got to find out why, when, what, how. You got to find out all that stuff before you can even start the process.
World-class lessons from the real estate industry's top 1%. Empowering agents to think bigger and do more to create life by design.
All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Light It Up Podcast. We are thrilled to have with us today a monster in the real estate industry, of course, very well known on many, many platforms. Ricky is putting out an insane amount of content, and we are really, really excited to have with us live today. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Ricky Carruth.
Yeah, man, good to see you guys. Glad to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Of course.
And for everybody who follows the podcast, you can clearly hear and see John is fangirling right now. And he's extremely excited for this. So this is going to be great to go into it. And let's jump right into the lightning round questions.
So Ricky, we like to start with this lightning round where we'll ask you some questions unrelated to real estate just to get to know you a little bit better. Jump in.
All right, cool. Ricky, what's the best advice you ever received?
That never quit a job, just add to it.
Tell us a little bit more about that. What do you mean?
Always have two jobs.
Oh, I thought you said add to it.
Yeah, add to it. If you don't like your job, go get another one and have two. And then go look for another one that might be better and replace one of the two you have. Then continue progressing up, stair-stepping every step of the way until you are wherever you want to be. Yeah. It's like I was a roofer. I served tables. I was cooked in restaurants, and then I went to school for a while, failed a history class, and then I was still roofing and then doing real estate on the side. Then I made real estate my main hustle. So at that point, I was still, it was really two jobs because I was working day and night with real estate. And then as real estate crashed, I went back to roofing, serving tables, worked on an oil rig. Like I never quit working, and I always had more than one job. Now, once I hit $1 million a year, then I started coaching. Then I was doing real estate and coaching. Once you hit the top or once you get bored, you just add to what you're doing and continue trucking.
But that's the reality, is that people who don't have growth mindsets will fall under that spell because they always think the grass is always greener. But the reality is the grass isn't the vision that they have. So if you don't have a big vision, that won't.
Well, you don't leave where you at until what you're doing. See, that's the problem with people that are part-time trying to go full-time. Yeah. A lot of agents get in and they have reserves and they just quit cold turkey and just do real estate full-time, and now they're under the gun financially. And so they end up dropping out because that model doesn't work. What you do is you keep your job, you do real estate on the side until real estate surpasses the income of your full-time job, and then you go full-time real estate, right? So you don't just grass the green or jump off the cliff. You stay where you are, you dip your toe in the next thing until it turns into your main thing, right? So, and people can't wrap their head around that because what does that take? A lot of hard work and patience that nobody wants to invest.
Yeah. Reminds me of that Jim Rohn story where he's like, I kept doing my side hustle until I outproduced my primary job. That way I could be the guy that says my side hustle outproduces my main job, and then he could promote that even more. And that was his story and his why. That was good.
And I'm to the point where I am now where I stepped out of production, right? I kept my toe in that water for 5 years while I was creating content and coaching and speaking and traveling. I was still in full production. And just a year ago, 5 years into the coaching world, I kind of took a step out of production, because the coaching thing turned into, now it's my main thing, right? So the cycle is going to continue. This is not the last thing I'm going to do.
Yeah. Same thing with team leaders who want to be team leaders before they're ready to be team leaders, right? It's like you're going out of team, you need to slowly transition out of production before you can go into anything else. It applies in every aspect of life. It's like you have to almost have that base to land on before you take that whole leap without seeing.
The reason why most teams fail is because the person that tried to build the team did it to step out of production. So they wanted to put the team in place to then step out. But you can't do that. You're now a CEO, and you got to stick with that team and continue kind of building that team up to get it to the place where you can step out of production, which takes many, many, many years.
Yeah. I almost want to add one more thing. This is Alex Hormozi. Alex Hormozi talking to the stage, he was saying that he read somewhere that running a small business is a lot more difficult than running a big business. And when you're running a big business, it's a people leverage, and you're able to be well capitalized to get the right people in the right seats. For us running a small business and not being able to find the right people in the right seats and having to learn that from scratch, there's so many elements that you don't consider and so many hats you're wearing as a CEO that it's not trying to manipulate people to do the thing or influence the people to do the thing or sell people to do the thing. It's finding the right people.
Yeah.
And you almost have to take away the side, like I can make them that right person. And I think that's the hardest thing for team leaders
Yeah.
to adapt into.
Yeah, I mean, the regular everyday person steps into just being a real estate agent, and that's a huge leap from basically being an employee to now you're a business owner.
Yeah.
And to make that's why 90% of people fails, because like most people grew up working by the hour, getting paid for production, whereas in real estate, when they switch over to that and they're still in the same mindset, oh, I just show up and good things are going to happen, I'm going to get a paycheck. It's not the case. Then to take it a step further is actually be in that CEO position. You can go out as a single agent like I did and make $1 million a year and have basically 100% margins, because you don't have a team you're paying out 50% commissions to, and you're paying all this admin and stuff like that. I can make $1 million with 100% margin, basically 90%, whatever it is. But if I want to scale that to $3 million a year, $5, $10 million a year, then I have to have a team. And now my margins are 20, 30% on that 5 to 10 million, because I'm paying all the staff and I'm paying all these ads and I'm paying people 50% commissions and stuff like that. But you can't scale by yourself to 10 million. You have to have a team, but your margins shrink to 20, 30%. Same thing in the education business. I could create a course right now about how to crush it on Instagram and make $1 million in a month, but then it would kind of trickle and basically just, then I'd have to say, okay, if I want to take it from 1 to 10, now I need to hire staff, run ads, have marketing guys, website guys, sales guys. And now my margins at $1 million or 100, but at 10 million, they're 20%, right? But do I want to sacrifice making another meal going through being a CEO instead of doing what I do best, which is having fun creating content? And so you have to find your place in the world. I think this is the mistake people make, is they just want to be the man or the woman. And like I've come to realize that my place in the world is I'm a great affiliate marketer. I don't want to have my own company. I don't want to have 100 employees. I don't want to own an education company. I'd rather take education products and just go sell them for a commission, and then take that money and go buy $100 million worth of real estate.
Yep.
Right? And invest in other companies and stuff like that more passively than being on the operator side or having to manage people or do HR. So it took me a long time to realize that, I tried to do a team twice and it didn't work either time, because I'm just not a CEO type person. I'm still posting every post. I'm still answering every DM and sending every text and responding to everything. I'm a in the trenches kind of guy. I'm a visionary, because I went free coaching to build a massive brand so that I could then be a great affiliate marketer, right? Yeah. I didn't know that's the path, but that's the path of least resistance for me. And I love that part of it, because I don't have to worry about having 100 employees like a lot of these guys do, you know? I don't want employees.
In every business, in every industry, no matter where you are, you have the attract, convert, deliver aspect that's necessary. And if you're able to have a strong brand, like you just said, you're able to attract wherever you are, depending, no matter what kind of product you're serving. The only aspect that comes into is just making sure that it's the right product that your audience will appreciate and like. So that's where that comes into the character of the person. And then that's where you're building trust with the community more than anything else.
Right.
What's one thing that you're working on getting better at?
One thing I'm working on getting better at, everything. There's nothing that I'm not trying to get better at. The entire journey is just a self-development process. I was just telling a group of guys today that no matter how much to the top that you get, or my dad said it really crazy the other day. It really made me say, wow. He basically said that the older you get, the more you realize age doesn't really matter that much, because in the whole scheme of the history of the world, we're all just here for this just brief moment anyway. So he basically said, hey, we grew up together. He's like, we grew up together, basically. He's like, we're just in life, just doing life together. I'm 41, he's almost 70, but he's like, you've been with me for 41 years, and he's like, we basically grew up together in the whole scheme of things, and so that would really put things into perspective. But we're all even at the very top, even at the end of your life, you have the most wisdom about everything. You're still, learning stuff and getting better and everything. So I think everything, man. So I read a lot. I research a lot. I make a lot of content. I talk to a lot of people. And for me, the whole thing is every single day, every little activity I do is just me collecting data and trying to learn how to be more efficient, Yeah.
So Ricky, if you could spend a day with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Anybody dead or alive, spend the day. Well, when you say dead or alive, it's like, okay, you immediately start thinking about dead people and people you can't and people you can't see, right? And the lure that you can't see them anymore kind of makes it even more valuable than people that are alive, because then there's the perception that the people that are alive, well, you could see them anytime. They're still here. And then the people that are dead, you're like, man, I wish I could just see that person one more time. You know what I mean? So, I mean, when you say it like that, it makes me think my grandmother that died a couple years ago, to hang out with her, you know, but my mind just goes there when you say dead or alive.
Yeah. Well, that's a good sign. So what's one thing that resonates, or one lesson that she taught you that sticks out amongst everything else?
She was super optimistic about everything. Like she worried about stuff, but yet, like, I could tell her crazy things that I did. She's like, oh, good. It just wild things. So it's almost like she worries, but she has this overwhelming sense of acceptance, you know, where she doesn't want you to feel like there's anything that you could do that would make her, you know, not like you for some reason, right? Or not care about you anymore. It's almost like, you know, it's like you could tell she worried about stuff, definitely, but she wanted you to feel like there's nothing you could do that would disappoint her. You know what I mean? And so I think that's pretty huge in the relationship building, you know, frame of mind.
Yeah. And when you think about it, an aspect of your business, you're giving opportunities. So it's almost like you're reflecting that same kind of aspect or thought, right? Because when you're creating lead generation, you're creating opportunities of people to have hope to think that they can convert it, right? The coolest part, I think, is that lead generation's a scalable model more than conversion, because conversion is so much more reliant on the individual people inside of the organization. The delivery aspect is required on the maintenance and like tracking everything that's going on there. But the generation process of it, it's like you can have a system and you could implement the system and it works. And I guess when you're going through and creating these systems, creating these opportunities, right? If someone else is ripping off and copying the same thing, you have to constantly adapt to stay ahead of your competition, correct? Or is that just a misconception in my mind?
I think it's a misconception because I'm just so all in on the fact that it's unlimited. You know, when I was in 2017, when I decided to take my coaching program and just flip a switch and make it free. And at the time, I was the #1 Remax agent in Alabama. I was the #1 agent in my entire county. And here I am going to lay out the blueprint, like the detailed, like nitty-gritty details for everything that I do to get where I was. And everybody, a lot of my friends and family got really mad at me because they're like, you're going to share all these secrets for free and just let all these people go beat you, you know? And I was like, but the thing is when I say, guys, that this is unlimited for everybody, I mean that shit. Like, I'm not just saying all this stuff for fun. This is really what I feel, you know? And I was just so sold on it that I just literally basically just gave every single person a training program of exactly what I did so they could go out and go. I was like, go try to beat me. And you know what? A couple years later, you know, I look back and I hadn't lost any clients. I had more respect. I had tons of influence, you know, and that's kind of how I saw it playing out myself, was that how can they take something that's unlimited? If they took a client, I'd just go get 5 more, you know, because it's all about relationships created, not transactions closed, you know, because every relationship was worth 10 to 20 deals to you over the life of your career. So if you understand that, and it's more of a lifelong, like how many, you know, every relationship's worth 10 to 20 deals over the life of your career. So how many relationships can we put in place? Multiply that number times 10 to 20, and that's how many deals you're going to close over the next 20 to 30 years. That's the game I'm playing, not how many deals closed this year. I could give a shit how many deals closed this year.
Right.
You know, that doesn't mean anything to me. I want to know how many relationships I created and how many people I'm building deeper relationships with at scale in my market. That's the only thing that matters. So I don't care about people ripping off, repeating, trying to come in and steal business and all that stuff. Come take my business.
Yeah.
Well, first off, nobody's going to do it the way that you do it, right? And then there's an infinite amount of business out there that if I do a deal, it doesn't mean I took it out of your pocket.
A lot of people say, oh, well, if you go out there and teach everybody stuff, only 1% of people are going to do it, right? And I'm like, that's true, but here's the punchline. Even if 100% of people did it exactly like me, it doesn't matter. That's the part people don't realize.
Right.
It's like when people say, "Oh, only 1% will do it anyway." That's them basically copping out on. Well, it's not really unlimited, Ricky. The only reason that it's going to work is because not very many people are actually going to take action. And although that's true, on the flip side, if they all did go take action, it wouldn't matter. It's completely unlimited. You could go talk to the exact same people, and this person's going to react differently to you than they do this other person over here. This person's going to, talk to you, love you, but then I talked to them 5 minutes later. They said they didn't want to sell with you, and now they changed their mind a little bit, and I talked to them at the right moment. It's just, if you're talking to people all day, trying to build your influence in the market, you don't have anything to worry about. That's when you see these older agents getting mad because you're sending letters in their building. It's like, I will come over there and slap your mom. You don't own that building.
Right.
Right? This is fair game. I loved it when the agents came and said that kind of stuff to me because I'm just laughing. Like, there is nothing against the code of ethics that says that I can't mail anybody in this market that I want to, that I can't call anybody as long as they're not listed by an agent.
Exactly.
And they think they own territories and stuff. Good luck with that. With me, you're not going to scare me out of this territory. And by the way, when you run into those agents, those dominant agents, that's an opportunity because there's agents that are scared to go in those subdivisions because of that agent. So there's less competition. Although it doesn't matter, there's less agents calling, and there's owners in there that hate that dominant agent, that are looking for an alternative.
Yeah. When there's like the neighborhood agent, right? Because there's a lot of people, well, especially I've talked to plenty of people over the years that are like, I would never work with XYZ agent because, the last few sales they've sold, they undersold it and they did this and that. And there's always two sides to every coin there.
Yeah, the problem is they don't want to go work.
Yeah.
See, they're relying on this one subdivision, and they're not going to put forth effort to go just talk to anybody in the market, to other people in the market, and continue building their business and influence. Yep. They're depending on this subdivision to be their livelihood. Yep. That's the problem. That's what I was getting to. They don't want to go work. So agents, when the market starts to retract and they start crying about it. That's because they quit prospecting a long time ago and they've been living off their database. The market shrinks a little bit. It affects them. And they're not willing to go out there and beat the streets.
Yep.
If you're working, like I say, and you're talking to new people in your market every single day, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You're always going to have a growing business no matter what.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a perfect segue. I was telling you as we got started today that I recently watched the episode you did with Ryan Pineda, and you were talking about the age-old problem in sales. I'm going to read this here from my notes. Is people either focus on only new clients or only their existing database, not both.
Yeah.
And I know you're notorious for focusing on both. Most agents only do one or the other. A lot of agents plateau in their career, and it's because they've stopped prospecting for new business. They do great work in the beginning, but then they sort of take their foot off the gas. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
It's exactly what I was just saying. If you're not continually bringing new prospects into your funnel, to have the conversations, to convert them into relationships, to remarket to them forever, if you don't have that funnel happening, you're just dead in the water. And if you've built the database up to the point that you're making the amount of money you want to make and you can just ride that out, if you get up to 500,000 and your database produces that without you having a prospect, great. That's awesome. Go make 500,000 a year forever. That's great. But if you want to take it to $1 million, you got to keep on building that database up, right? And most people either just focus on the database. They're making 150. They make 150 every year, and they cry. They don't know how to get to 250 and 350, but they're not prospecting. They're just working their database, maintaining their income, or they don't have a database, and they're just working leads coming in, and they'll close deals, but they never stay in touch with anybody, and it's just a revolving door, and they make 150. If you can harness both, right, and you're going after new, and you're turning and burning those deals, but then you're also making sure that everyone you talk to never forgets who you are, and you're maintaining that database, then that's when you really crush it.
As an agent, if I'm spending a couple hours every morning prospecting, should I be spending half my time new business, expireds, FSBOs, just listed, just solds, and then the other few hours, calling my existing database, giving them value, sharing with them, market updates?
No, just all of it on new.
All of it on new.
Yeah, all of it on new, because you're doing a weekly email or some kind of marketing that should be very personalized. If you're doing just generic marketing, just you've got some company making, generic posts for you, or, you're sending out an email that 15 other agents send out the same email in the same exact time once a month or whatever, that's not going to work.
The pumpkin pie recipe.
Shrimp etouffee, how to, what color to paint your walls in the fall, 10 buyer tips.
Yeah.
Your clients aren't opening that stuff. Or if you're sending them national stats, you should be researching your own MLS and really creating and analyzing your own research and data that you're sharing with your customers.
Yeah.
You should be researching it all on your own.
One thing that hit me, and I just had an aha moment as you're going through this, Ricky. In the beginning, we were talking about, you threw in something saying like, I'd rather focus on this and throw all the money into real estate, right? And real estate, that's the asset class that everybody wants to get into and invest into so that they can have freedom, right? And it's something that's tangible asset, right? What you're talking about with the database, people might not think of it in that same way, but you're essentially investing your active time, your active effort in creating a bigger database so that you could passively nurture that investment that you're creating, that relationship, so that you can constantly withdraw from it and utilize it. It didn't hit me because John and I are complete opposites. I'm the turn and burn because I love the hunt. I love the challenge. John's like, I'm talking to this past client from 7 years ago. I'm like, you still remember their name? So it's like different opposites completely. Sorry.
But if you could combine that though, right? If you could just do a simple weekly email to stay in touch with everybody you've ever talked to in your life, just to be the glue that holds all that together while you're still turning and burning. You're turning and burning, you're throwing people in the email, they stay in touch forever. Then at some point, you got the guy calling you back from 5 years ago and the new guy you just talked to. Now you've doubled your business or quadrupled or 5 or 10 extra business because you're getting it from all ends now. Yeah. And then eventually what happens is as that database gets large enough, it eventually gets to a place where now that database is producing 75% of your business. Then a couple of years later, it's 80% of your business. Then it's 90%. Then it's 95%. And you get to a point where you're like, I don't even have to prospect anymore.
Yeah,
I can just live off the database and make $1 million plus a year or whatever, just off the database with no prospecting.
Yeah.
Ricky, as I'm doing research yesterday to try to prepare for our conversation today, all I ever hear about is this damn weekly email. Give me some more insight there. You said you want it to be specific, unique, personal. If I'm an agent who's selling homes really any direction of 40 minutes driving any circumference of this area, how do I make that specific? How do I include stats that are not boring? How do we make that exciting and something that somebody's going to actually want to read more about and not just archive?
Well, I mean, do you know anybody that doesn't love seeing the new listings in the area?
Everybody loves Cruise and Zillow. Yep.
That should be the first link. New listings, the last 2 weeks of new listings. Every week they're going to get new listings. So some people are like, oh, I'm going to open it every week because I want to see what's new on the market every week. Then you got closed sales, right? Then you have a different picture at the top that's a landmark type picture. They can recognize it's from the area. And it's different every single week so they know this is fresh content. And then you get into the body of the article of whatever you want to be talking about, which could be a listing of the month, a restaurant of the month, and you could be like, hey, this new place just opened up over here on whatever street. Me and my wife went there the other day. The service was amazing. I had the shrimp etouffee or whatever. Tell the story. See, people love stories.
Vulnerable
right?
side, yep.
So, and then reply back for a chance to win a $100 gift card, right? And if you don't win it, let me know. I'll meet you over there for lunch one day. This is stuff you can't automate. This is stuff you got to sit down and write out and think out. How can I bring the most value to my audience? Like market stats. Well, here's the market stats that I researched out of my MLS. This is what I came up with. Next week, I'll compare it to this university said that comes out with stats too for the area. And also, here's the stats. Here's what I think about it. And here's what a couple buyers said this week when I was showing property. And so now they're getting inside information from the market, right? You're directly in the market. Now they're getting this really inside scoop of what buyers are saying in real time, or sellers or other agents, right? Or this is what, I interviewed the mayor on YouTube. You can watch it right here, and this is what he said, and this is what I got out of it. But giving inside information, insights, when they read your emails, they know, heck, he's the one actually researching and analyzing and coming up with this data. He's actually out in the field talking to buyers, and this is what they're saying right now. This is valuable information to me. I can use this because I'm thinking about selling my house, but since buyers are saying that, maybe I'll hold off, or maybe I need to move forward, or maybe I just need to call John and see dig deeper here to kind of get his thoughts, since he's in the market. He knows what buyers are saying and thinking. And oh, by the way, the next email said he closed on 13 houses last month. So you got a little self-promotion going on. Give the story of a client that had a really great experience. So stories, insights, opinions, fresh pictures every single time, new listings, closed sales. I mean, I'm just saying all this off the top of my head. There's so much more, right? But that's just right off the top.
Yeah. The fact that it's a personal touch is the biggest difference than anything else. So it's accurate, it's relevant, it's right there.
People spell value TIME. They want to know that you spent time on this. It's an original piece of content they will not see anywhere else, no matter what. It came out of your brain right then when you sent it. So they value that, and they're going to open it every single week. I got 19,000 people that get this email, 8,000 open it every week, and it's been that way forever, and we close 100 deals a year with no other advertisement, no social media, no phone calls, no letters, no TV, no anything, just the weekly email for past clients, and it's residual. So Dad handles the day-to-day listings and showings and negotiations and stuff. I still do the weekly email and some other things, and me and him consult on everything. So that's kind of how we have it set up. I just do an email, and he, leads come in and he closes them. It's pretty simple stuff.
Yeah.
I think people appreciate the consistency too. It shows that you're professional. It shows that you're
It shows people you're dependable,
Yeah.
consistent, hardworking, honest, knowledgeable. It shows them everything that they want to see in their real estate agent without you having to call them. So you said you spent half the time calling new, half the time calling old. You don't have to call the old. When they see this, they're like, he's the man. And by the way, you closed a deal with them 3 years ago, and it was the best experience they ever had. They're never going to use another agent. They don't care who comes along or says anything. They're only going to call you.
right.
And when you get to that place in your business where you're getting all that residual off of your database, these people aren't interviewing 3 agents like in the beginning of your career. They're calling one person, you, and guess what? They're paying you whatever you want. They're not even asking you what your commission is. They're just going to sign whatever you put on the piece of paper.
Yeah. You started when you were 18 years old. I started when I was 18. I didn't have any database. So I was so conditioned and addicted to the way I was making money, which was just hunting. Were you always like that from day one? I guess that's what I was trying to get at.
What?
We're always thinking about long run with that
No.
initial interaction.
No. In the beginning, I was just trying to close deals. I made $1 million really quick. I was like 23 by that time. I started flipping houses, and I lost everything because the market crashed. So I was homeless, sleeping in my cars, eating out of people's refrigerators, sleeping on people's couches. Went back to roofing, worked on an oil rig for a while, was serving tables, and then I got back in real estate in 2008. So the first time around, before I lost everything, I didn't care about any relationships because I could just make 10 calls, find somebody that wanted to make 200,000, make 20,000 myself, and then that person disappeared. They didn't want to rebuy into an overinflated market. So then I would just make 10 more calls and make another 20,000, 10 more calls, another 20,000. I didn't have to create relationships. I thought this is how real estate was done. This is the market that I was born into.
Yeah.
So when I lost everything, I had to take a step back and say, wait a minute, that wasn't the right way to do that. That's not how you do it. I kind of got tricked. The market tricked me into thinking that was how you actually do business. And I had to realize, I had to take that lesson when I lost everything. And then when I came back, then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it the right way this time. I'm going to build it on relationships and really build a massive database, create huge influence in the market, and become number one. So that was the goal from day one, even before I lost everything, was I'm going to be the best out here. And, so I had to get knocked down, but I got up, dust myself off, kept trucking, and finally, 17 years into it, hit some pay dirt. So,
Yeah. The biggest thing that you think about is, I think it's the reality that we have a misconception or idea that it's a business that's not a human business and a humanistic thing. So like, even if there was before technology and buying leads, how would you actually get business, right? It'd be through the relationships you had and people knew you, trusted you, liked you.
same way you do now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing. Back then there was no social media, there was no, Zillow, there was no nothing, right? There was MLS, there was postcards, there was letters, there was phone calls, there was emails. That was it. So we had to reverse look up addresses to get phone numbers one at a time, and then we hand dialed. We picked the property owners we wanted to do business with and rock and roll. Nowadays, it takes you 2 seconds to find 1,000 numbers and, a multi-line dial 100 in an hour.
Yeah.
That used to take us all day to find 100 numbers and dial them by hand. So you can do things 10 times faster, but it's the same thing, same process.
Yeah.
You talk a lot, Ricky, about stop buying leads. Lead providers are just selling you the phone numbers for people that have been looking at real estate online casually. And I think we've all done that. I mean, I was browsing for homes the other day and just looking at what some of my neighbors were selling. And I don't want to butcher the stats you gave out, but I know you had a past post recently where you were talking about the lead providers have actually sold us all the phone numbers for everybody who exists in the U.S. this year already, right? So what's the message that you have, I guess, for some newer agents that are saying, I don't have enough leads, or I don't have enough money to spend on Zillow leads?
They've been brainwashed into believing what they think a lead is, when a lead is any person in the market. Remember, we're trying to stack up deals over the lifetime of our career. So every relationship created stacks up deals over the life of our career. So I don't care about deals today. I'm going to get deals today. I'm going to close a lot of deals today because I'm talking to people, seeing what I can do to help, and, getting good at that side of it. Discovery, why they want to buy, why they want to sell, putting together a good game plan for them. I mean, I'm going to close a lot of deals if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but while I'm closing deals as a bonus of building my long-term business, I'm more focused on the relationship. So when you understand that, and that when you understand the number one reason why people choose a real estate agent is because they had a friend in the business with a great reputation, you start to try to think in your mind, well, every human in my market's a lead, not just who Zillow tells me is a lead, or who Realtor.com, or who, I don't know. It's crazy. Like, any person is a lead. They're going to buy or sell something at some point in their life in the market. So why are we classifying hot leads and cold leads? They're all leads.
Yeah.
All right, going back to, okay, we're only here for a certain amount of time, and it's really a snap of a finger in the whole scheme of things. So if somebody's going to buy in 2 years, isn't that even less of a snap of a finger in the whole scheme of things? Yes, 2 years goes by like that. Why not create that relationship and get ready for that? Meanwhile, running into 3 more people down the road, they end up buying 2 houses from you this month and referring somebody to you. We're busy closing those deals while we're still spending time building more relationships. It's a snowball.
Yeah.
And the more you can pack in there, the bigger it gets as it starts rolling down the hill. But I think the first thing there with the new agents is to redefine what a lead is. It's a human being in the market. Anybody. Well, you can't talk to everyone because the population is too big. So to be the most efficient, it's like, okay, I know I need to talk to people, but who do we need to talk to? Well, let's talk to the exact property owners we want to do business with, that own the properties we'd love to list and love to sell. Because they're not only going to be a listing down the road, but they're also the highest quality buyers. The people that own these type of properties, they already know how to buy. They already got the money. They know what they want. They don't need anybody to educate them on insurance and taxes and utilities and maintenance, closing costs. They already know all that. So they're very easy to work with when they buy. Of course, listing is the most incredible time, reducer of time, like in the history of real estate agents. So listings are great. You can leverage listings, and you can also leverage yourself working with property owners as buyers who already know the game. You don't have to, educate them. Yeah. So my thing is, all right, if we know we just need to talk to people and create friends in the market forever, how hard is that? That's why I say, like, people are like, it can't be that simple. Yeah, it's that simple, right? And so then it's like, all right, I want to sell in that subdivision. Let's call everybody in that subdivision. Let's send them letters. Let's hit them on social. Everything, right? Okay, we're done with that. We milked that as far as we can. We picked up, 17 new relationships. They're getting the weekly email. Let's go to the next one. Boom, here's the next one, right? It's in the average price of the market. It's close to me geographically. It's on the newer side. I love this one. This will be a great one to get some listings in. Bam. Start planting seeds, right? So I think they just need to redefine what a lead is. Understand it's just humans in the market. They only own the exact properties you want to sell, regardless if you want to buy or sell today or not. And go get to know them. Introduce yourself. Let them know who you are, what you do, and you're here to help.
Yeah. I think a lot of newer agents are just impatient, right? They're looking for right now business. right?
Well, yeah, of course.
As we've been told, we're looking for one night stands instead of we're looking for Tinder
Miss
dates
Right, not
instead of
Miss
Miss Right.
Oh, Miss Right now, not Miss Right. uh, the one thing that comes to my mind is, as you were talking about relationship building with the people that are there, right, in the geographic area, then demographic market or demographic and geographic area that you want to serve, right? That would be the ideal kind of client for you. And you're making the effort to build those relationships. As you were saying that, in my mind, I'm like, well, how do you build those relationships with those people? Like, what are the first steps? Because that could be often forgotten, because a lot of the times we're told that the aggressor in you is what's going to be told as the right person for the motivated client. How do you become a relationship person or a relational person in those situations when you're trying to focus on transactions simultaneously to stay in business?
By finding out what they want to do and helping them do it. How would you treat your mom?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
If she called you up right now and said, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about selling my house. What's the first thing you would say to her?
Great, I'll see you in an hour.
That's the salesperson in you. What I would say is why, Mom? Why are you thinking about selling? That place is amazing.
Yeah.
Where are you going? What are you doing? This is nuts. Same thing I ask a seller. Seller says he's going to sell. I'm like, why? Why would you sell this like amazing place? What's going on? Oh, well, my daughter is graduating from college in 6 months, and we don't need the extra bedroom. Plus, we want to be on the water. We want to downgrade to a smaller house on the water. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, this is what we need to do, right? Maybe I can come by and take a look, and we can see what it's worth now. We'll reevaluate it later if you want. When do you want to close on it? When do you want this to happen? So you got to find out why, when, what, how. You got to find out all that stuff before you can even start the process of figuring out what the next step is for each prospect.
Yeah. A lot of times I've heard you talk, Ricky, about, the 5 principles for real estate agents, and one of them is having the best intentions, right? So it's just making sure that instead of just saying, reaching out to somebody saying, do you have an agent you would work with, or do you have an agent in mind, or who would you work with? It's like, even if the time is not right for you right now, it's like at that time when you're ready, who would you work with? What are you looking for? What qualities are you looking for in an agent? That sort of thing, right?
Listen, I don't care what qualities they're looking for in an agent and stuff. If you don't have an agent, great. I'd love to stay in touch with you.
Yeah.
And work with you when that day comes. Would I be okay? Cool. What's a good email for you?
Would it be okay if I keep you informed about what's going on in the market?
Nah, I don't want to go there, because then that kind of sounds like a newsletter.
Okay.
And what I want to do is come across that I want to personally stay in touch with them. Is it okay if I stay in touch with you? Great. What's a good email?
Yeah.
I don't want to say I want to send you market information, because they're immediately going to say no. I get 15 market reports and they all suck. But the thing is they haven't seen my market report where I'm giving them real inside scoops and opinions. So if I can come across on the call that I'm just trying to stay in touch myself versus sending a newsletter or something like that, I'm not trying to do any of that. I just want to stay in touch with you. Right? Like, we're bros now. Like, I want to stay in touch with you for the day that you decide to do something. Now they're going to start getting these emails, and they're going to open them and be like, wow, this is some valuable ass stuff.
It's funny because when you said that was the salesperson in you, I was like, yeah, I would actually ask my mom why, right? But then so conditioned for that element. When was that shift occurred to you where you were like, you stopped?
It was never cold turkey. See, a lot of people hear what I say, and then they want to try to go cold turkey, but then that mainstream real estate coaching, close the deal right now, comes out of them. And it did with me too. So in the beginning, it was like I gave up. See, now when I talk to a prospect, it's like it's 95% low pressure, 5% high pressure, right? That's where you want to end up. And when I talk to a prospect, when I'm entering into that situation, I absolutely do not care at all if they buy or sell or not. I have zero interest in if they're going to buy or sell or not. I'm not counting my commissions. I'm not hoping they do something. This is who I am. What do you got going on? What can I do to help you? But in the beginning, when I realized this, it was like I turned it to 75% high pressure, 25% low pressure, right? And then after a while, I realized that was kind of working. So I went, 40-60, 40% low pressure. Then I went 60-40, 60% low pressure, right? And this is over the course of years and years. And finally, I was 75% low pressure, right? And then I'm realizing, man, this is where it's at, because I'm gaining all these lifelong clients that we're basically talk to each other like we're first cousins or brothers or mom or dad. Like I feel like this is, we play high school football together, and like it's just like really close knit bond. And then finally I completely let go, and 95% low pressure, 5% high pressure, and the 5% is there. right? And the 5% is going to come out when it needs to come out. The problem is agents try to convert before they connect. You know, they just go straight in. They don't even ask why people want to sell or anything. They don't even do any discovery on what's really going on behind the scenes. Something's happening in their life that's causing them to make this decision to buy or sell. They didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, I think I'll buy this house today for no reason. No, their mom died. Their kids went to college. They lost a job, got a job, had a kid. Something's going on in their life that's way bigger than the transaction. And until I know what that is, I can't help them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a doctor. You know, a doctor, you don't walk in a doctor and say, my stomach hurts, and they lay you out on the table and just slice your stomach open and say, well, let me get in there and see what we got. No, they run tests. They see what's really going on. They make an assessment, and then they say, okay, well, based on the assessment, here's the game plan. Here's what we're going to do. It's the same thing that we should do as professionals. Oh, you want to sell? Okay, well, let's slow down for a second. Tell me what's going on. What's happening? You know, let me assess the situation, and once I have all the data, then I'm going to take a step back, and based on my professional opinion, here's the path we need to take.
Yeah. Just to highlight on what you said earlier, because it's so important, you're redefining the definition of a lead is then so much more crucial at that point. Because if I'm calling expireds, right, and I know that the harder I push and the more aggressive I am, the more confident they feel that I'm confident that I'm the best agent for them. And then they're just like, if they're in so much pain, then they're going to be like, okay, this is our solution. He doesn't know why, but he seems like the solution. And if I do the same tactic on someone who's like maybe farther out, then they're going to be like, who's this effing salesperson? You know what I mean? Who's not there to actually help me. It's all about them being so ego. That redefining the lead is so important. And it's as I reflect on that, the top sales agent in our marketplace, Patrick, his Just Listed, Just Sold campaign is a 2-year nurture plan. And that's how he turns them around. He's like, I contact the average person I contact in my desired area, converts in 2 years. But I touch base with them, and I have a plan to touch base with them, stay in front of them, and provide value so that when they're ready, they're thinking of no one else but me.
They said the same thing that Ricky said.
Yeah,
When it comes time for them to be.
The earlier you realize this, and the more people you put in that hopper, right, that machine, that compounds into this just massive situation over the course of 3 to 5 years. You know, it's just like, think about it like this. If you make contacts every day from say 9 to 12 and you make 5 new friends or property owners, not trying to sell, just create 5 new friends, 250 working days a year for 5 years, that's 6,000. If you got 6,000 property owners you talk to that gave you their email address, getting a weekly email from you on the same day of the week forever, right, over the course of 5 years, how big is your business?
Yeah.
It's massive. And everybody's like, well, how the heck did you do that? It's like, I just make calls, and my goal is to make 5 new friends a day of property owners. Well, if you're making friends of property owners, then you're not selling any property. No, I actually had record years. Every year I sold more and more and more property.
Yeah.
Right? The thing is you can have your cake and eat it too. The high pressure guys, I'll lose some deals to them, right? But I don't care, because that client liked that high pressure approach or whatever it was. I have a strong belief that the majority of the population likes people to treat them like family. And they're going to pick that person over the more sales-oriented, handle objections kind of guy.
Yeah. Why do you think that a lot of like the ways that people are taught to sell, I almost feel misled the way that I think? And
because it makes them money. Because real estate coaches came in and they sell you on their coaching program with the same strategies that they try to teach you to sell your clients on. And it's a money grab.
Yeah.
They're selling you on the high pressureness. That's what they know. They're not real estate agents.
Yeah.
Tom Ferry never had a real estate license. They're selling you on high pressure tactics to get you to join the coaching program, and then teaching you the same tactics, which is all they know, to sell real estate.
Yeah. You know, it reminds me of the saying that the urgent is never really important, and the important is never really urgent. So when you're basically thinking about, as a real estate agent, you want more money. It's a greed focused thing. Someone's like, you want to make more money? Come with me. And now you're preaching the same thing, high pressure to other people. Like, I'll get you what you want. Just give me the deal, right? Not focusing on what they're looking to accomplish. When in reality, what they do need is to be able to provide value and more value. So that way they can gain people's trust with their biggest financial decisions, which is an interesting reflection.
I think a lot of people get that commission breath, as we all refer to it.
Yeah.
And it's because of what Ricky touched upon in the beginning. They ripped off the Band-Aid, quit their full-time job, and they went into this full-time, and now their back's up against the wall, and all they have to provide. So they have this 95%.
They're under the gun.
They're under the gun. Yeah. And if they don't provide and don't perform,
And it
then,
affects
then
their
they have to go back to
communication.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the problem is that those mainstream coaching and training programs that you're talking about, what they do is these agents, these new agents, okay, they're really good people. They're hard workers. They're dependable. They want what's best. They really want the best for their clients. But the problem is the way they've been trained and coached is not articulating who they are to the prospects. They're walking into a listing appointment or something or a showing, and they're coming across as they're just another agent trying to get a deal closed. When on the inside, they're this really incredible person with the best intentions, the best work ethic, they're very dependable, but they're not coming across that way because they've been taught to communicate in a manner that's not really who they are. And so what I'm trying to do is try to spread the message that we actually want that person inside of you who wants the best for people, who's hardworking and honest and dependable and not trying to just close deals, but actually do. You know how many sellers I told not to sell that ended up, being my client for life, who sold 2 years later? Like I honestly didn't. I was like, why? Like, you should probably just hang on. So many clients I did that. And then there were plenty of clients where I said, you need to sell this right now. We need to put it on the market right now. And they did, and we sold it. Right. So all those decisions were based on what I thought was best for them. I wasn't like, you got to do this. I'm just like, this is what I think.
Right.
And they trust me. So they're like, well, let us think about it. And I'm like, cool. Somebody wants to think about something? Great. I want them to sleep on it for a week and still think it's a good idea. Because if we list it now, or you write an offer or you close on it, and then you're unhappy in a week, you're going to be mad at me, even though I wouldn't even make the decision.
Yeah.
I want people to be 100% satisfied. That's why when I take a listing, I tell them, you can cancel this tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to sell it till it sells. You tell me to stop. It's never going to expire.
So one question. So we're talking about the new agent that's going in and not being themselves. And now if you said that the money spot really is 95%. It's cool. You're calm. You're collected. You're being yourself. There's no high pressure situation, and it's 5%. When is that 5% necessary?
Once you have completely connected, you understand their situation to the fullest, and they're giving you the signals that they want to do something.
So you're an advisor at that point. It doesn't even feel like pressure when it's that 5%. Is that an accurate assumption?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It feels pressure-ish. Sometimes you do have to ask for the business, right? And it's almost a moment of clarity. It's almost like you have to throw it out there to see what they say. And that's what you're doing. You're just seeing what they say. You're not trying to talk them into it. It's like, they really like this house. There's other showings happening. They're approved. You're like, listen, I think we should go ahead and make an offer on this. They've got other showings. You guys like it. What do you think? And then see what they say. And then based on the response, you understand kind of where they stand with that. They're ready to roll or they're not. But at least you threw it out there and asked for the business. And through doing that, you find really incredible clarity on what their situation is and what they want to do. And then it's up to you to continue to help them do whatever it is they want to do.
Yeah. I think that ties into, would you say, Ricky, a lot of people are out there just trying to create like false urgency?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
When there is urgency, like you said, like there are multiple offers or there's 40 showings lined up for this weekend, you got to make a decision today, then you have to convey there is real urgency. But don't try to create urgency when it doesn't really exist.
So then when it matters, they don't believe you. Everything you look at, like businesses and independent contractors, everybody has their own business. You have like 3 things that you're always developing: a belief, a trait, and skills, right? And it's like you have the ladder analogy. You have the traits, you have the beliefs, and you have the skills that help you increase. But the problem is that if your trait is intentionally built off of just greed for yourself, you can't really go up after a certain level. Like you were saying, it's either you're hunting for new business and you're capping out at a certain level all the time, right? Or if you're nurturing your database, you have the belief that you're doing the best for them, but you're not developing a certain number of like expansion, basically. You're not growing. Yeah. This was like an intervention.
Ricky, thank you so much, man. We know your time is valuable. We really appreciate you spending some time with us today. If anybody wants to connect with you or reach out, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Instagram is the best way. I answer my DMs there, just my name, Ricky Carruth. All my free courses and stuff for agents at ZeroToDiamond.com.
That's it, man. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Hey, enjoyed it.
Awesome.